What is up, humans of the cardboard? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we are talking about some pretty interesting news here. We got a ban list for the OCG, so obviously it doesn't translate directly to us, but a lot of the time we can take some interesting notes from what kind of hits happen in the OCG and potentially apply them to what we might see very soon in the TCG. And I believe the TCG is no sooner than a date. I want to say is October 1st. I don't know off the top of my head, actually. I'm going to have to check after this. But they are set for October 1st here with these new hits. But I know we're close, no matter what. So let's go. All right. So starting off here, we have our newly forbidden cards. True King of All Calamities and Mystic Mine, the newly banned cards. That is really cool to see, to be honest. I hate Mystic Mine. I always have. I know some people think it's like a healthy check to certain things. And I get it, right? Drytron's annoying. If you can just get a Mystic Mine to stick in their face, they kind of can't do much about it. But, so, I don't know. It's cool. But, like, yeah, I don't know. Like, we don't have huge problems with Mystic Mine here. But I think in, like, their format where they have Max C everywhere, so combo decks aren't quite as prevalent. You see more, like, mid-range decks instead of, like, super combo decks a lot of the time. Oh, there's my alarm. You see that go. And then also Calamities. Calamities should have been done a long time ago. I mean, I guess, like, you can argue, again, they have Max C, so they have, like, a true horrifying counter to any deck that only wants to combo. And so that hurt decks that would probably be making Calamities, but probably for the best going to 0 as well. So I like that. Cool. Nice little start there. Moving on from there, we have our newly limited cards. First of all being Psy-Frame Gear Gamma and Divine Arsenal AA Zeus Sky Thunder. So we'll start with Gamma. I believe Gamma's been at 2 in the OCG for a minute now. And even still has been one of the most played hand traps. And it's honestly surprising. Like, I get it, the ceiling is really high. But me personally, when I go to look at, like, playing Gamma, I don't love main decking Gamma unless I have, like, a deck that has, like, synergy with the Gamma. Like, oh, I have something like Nadir Servant or just, like, Pot of Prosperity, a really strong couple of spells in the deck that I would be committing to the field before a monster that really wants to bait a hand trap. Like, people are going to see that and be like, oof, I really don't want that to resolve kind of shenanigans. And that gives you the ability to make the full, like, the most of your Gamma, I guess. And so pretty cool, but interesting that it's going to 1. I don't know how many people are going to want to play it because you're going to play a driver just to play 1 Gamma. I don't know how worth that is. I don't even know how worth 2 Gamma for 1 driver is. You're just playing a 2-to-1 ratio. You got a 1 in 3 chance every time you're seeing that package of it just being like a useless vanilla in hand. So I don't love that either, but interesting nonetheless. And then of course we have Zeus. This is a card people have theorized in the TCG as well. The only problem here is, like, if we saw this hit, the only thing this really hits is, like, pure Zodiac, because not many decks outside of something like pure Zoo can really even afford to play more than 1 Zeus. They kind of just have to play 1 Zeus. So kind of weird. But I don't know. Like, we saw how good. Like, here's the thing: is, like, people say that, like, Pure Zoo was really good, like the format before this one, and then we got Dryden banned. But then people said, like, Dryden didn't matter, Zeus is the problem, and that deck has still done decently well at times, but then it goes up and down, and now we haven't been seeing it too much. So I don't expect to see this happen on the next list. I think it's still a little too early for us. Keep in mind we're, like, a whole format behind the OCG. I think Konami wants to get a new reprint of Zeus out to make some cash there before they even try to hit it, but still interesting to note. Which takes us to our newly semi-limited cards. These cards all went to 2 just now. In the OCG, apparently they love to, like, use the semi-limited list. So here we go. First off, we have Soul Eating Oviraptor, Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, Pot of Desires, and Crossout Designator. So a couple things going on here. Soul Eating Oviraptor went from 1 to 2. I guess that's nice, right? I don't know what exactly what their other hits on dinos are. I mean, I guess their logic might be like, oh, if we're gonna kill Calamities, which is like the crazy end piece that you know, dinos can end on to have like a busted combo, then we can give them a little bit of consistency back with another Oviraptor. So I think that's fine. Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon should have its errata. I don't know if you even play more than one. I still don't think it's a bad extender. It's just a hard once per turn now, I think. So for them as well as us. So I think that's fine. I don't think anybody's going to be like weird about that. Now we get to the interesting ones. First off, Pot of Desires. This goes from 3 to 2, so actually getting pulled back on Desires. I don't know exactly what decks exactly are like really prevalent in their format, but I guess it appears that like Desire, like a lot of decks that play Desires have been running around, and I guess Konami's like, all right, we just need to reel back on everybody being able to play 3 of this really awesome pot card in their list. The OCG tends to do this more than the TCG does, where they make these little hits, kind of like Gamma. They've done it with Ash. They've done it with a lot of this stuff where they're like, this is just a generic card and everybody's playing it at 3, so let's just bring it down to like 2 or 1. That way, like, we can see a little more diversity in the cards you guys play. Open up a couple slots in your deck. You can fill it in with something else that's cool and kind of just add to a little more diversity. But interesting there that Pot of Desires goes to semi. We'll have to keep an eye on that, whether that will continue to go down to like full limited or come back to unlimited later on if they decide it's not really necessary. And then we have Crossout Designator. This is another one that's like pretty interesting, right? So this is still a card that we don't even have yet, and now it's not even at 3 anymore. It goes to 2, which is very interesting because this card is very, very strong. I don't know exactly the wording on the card just off the top of my head, but it's essentially like if your opponent activates an effect, you can like banish a card with the same name. I don't know if it's monster or card from your deck, and then you like negate the effects of the cards you banish. So as long as your opponent's like trying to hand trap you essentially with a hand trap that you also play in your main deck, then you banish your copy to then like mitigate theirs. So it's kind of like a pseudo Called by the Grave, but it does have other uses as well. It's like insane in mirror matches because obviously you play the same engine cards in the mirror match, and this just becomes like a negate the most important card in the mirror match, and that's pretty dang good. So quick play, all that stuff, very strong card. Finally going to 2 here. That's another thing I noticed back. This is another same hit to like the Desires, where like everybody was kind of just like, yeah, I don't know what to play, so let's just throw Designator in there. Like I want to be able to play Yu-Gi-Oh, so Designator. It kind of feels the same as like Called by the Grave. We have Called by the Grave at 1 in the TCG. I would not be surprised if Designator is the kind of card that goes to 1 in the TCG as well, just because like having 3 feels so crazy. Imagine if Called and Crossout were both at 3. I mean, you'd be able to like handle hand traps like nobody's business. So goes to 2 just to kind of like not let people see it all the time and mitigate that. So very cool. Then we move into our last section here, which is the unlimits. All right, so first we have Danger Nessie, going from semi-limited to unlimited. This is another thing that the TCG also likes to do, is they take cards from like limited to semi-limited and then from semi-limited to unlimited, even if it's one of those situations where you're like, it could probably just come back to 3. There's not much use in putting it to 2. They like to be safe than sorry. I'm not complaining if they want to be slow with it because you usually know that it's coming anyway. So Danger Nessie is the first one here. We have this at 1 and they finally get it fully unlimited. Very interesting. I mean, I think it's fine. I think the dangers are kind of definitely scary, especially if we get like a new archetype that works particularly well with them. It'd definitely be something to keep an eye on, just because they do have that like non-once per turn ability. And if they're not getting hit out of the hand, then you're just digging so deep into your deck. It's like kind of crazy. So we'll just keep an eye on it. But yep, Danger Nessie, one of the best ones for sure. Next up, we have Salamangreat Circle. This also goes from semi-limited to unlimited. Very cool, honestly. Like salads are I don't want to say full power with Mirage Stallion, but the only thing we are missing is triple circle. We have Gazelle and Circle both at 1. I guess technically I think Mirage Stallion is technically at 1 now, which doesn't matter. They should have just put it to 3. It's one of those, but interesting that they now have Circle, because that's all really that's the only thing that's like changing, is that like Salamangreat could be like more consistent that way. But we'll see. That would be really cool, honestly, because Circle's like really good, but we also have Signet Mining, so is that like overkill on the ability to see Gazelle? Maybe, who knows, but still interesting. Next up is Mind Control. This is one we still have limited. Actually, all of everything here but Call, we still have limited. Nessie, Circle, and Mind Control, we still have limited. Mind Control is really cool, but it's not once per turn. I think that's why Konami ended up moving it to the limited list here for us. I don't know when they would even look at moving it, but I don't know. I think honestly, if we have cards like Triple Tactics Talent and Forbidden Droplets, we're getting these like insane going second spell cards, Dark Ruler no more. I honestly don't think Mind Control is that busted relative to some of those other cards. I think the ceiling for those other cards is like insane. Yes, this one out of those like 4 I listed there is the only one that's not hard once per turn. So you can just take 2 monsters, make your own link, and you just rip 2 from your opponent while getting into a link 2. It can be pretty good. I think like overall it's like, I don't know, it's fine. I think it's really honestly fine. And then the last card we see here is Pendulum Call, going from semi-limited to unlimited. I don't really know, like pendulums we don't really see much at all in our format. Like seriously, I can't even remember the last time I saw like a legit like pendulum top in the TCG. It's been a while. Obviously there are people who play it, you know, your Triffs and everybody who follows him, right? And obviously some other people too that still love the deck. I don't think it's a bad deck. I just think it's rogue, and it's not been doing great. I think it's one of those rogue decks that, like, while Imperial Order is being cited by every single person in the format, and Anti-Spell Fragrance is being cited by a lot of freaking people in the format, you know, it's Pendulum just naturally loses to that stuff, so it's kind of hard for them to get a leg up in a lot of duels, just because like everybody's, even though they're a rogue deck, one of the benefits of playing a rogue deck is like, oh, people aren't counter strategying you. But unfortunately, you lose to a lot of the counter strategying for the meta that's currently going on. So kind of sucks. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Very cool. We should be coming up on our ban list as well. This could give us a little bit of insight here. I mean, we got Mirage back to 1. Maybe we see Circle go to 2 or something like that. Maybe they just creep Gazelle and Circle off the list, because that's really all they need to do. It doesn't really like raise the power ceiling of Salamangrates. It more so just raises the grind game and consistency of it even more, because then, like, you know, if you're more consistently getting Circle in rotation, you're more consistently like setting it off of Falco, adding it back off of Sunlight Wolf, and like continually getting Circle to hand, and like makes the grind game a little bit better in certain instances, and that's really, really good. So we'll see what happens. There's a lot going on here. Hopefully this gives us a little insight into what we're going to see in ours coming up ban list. But let me know your guys' thoughts. Let me know what you think down below on this list, and how you think it could translate to us, what you'd like to see between our list and theirs. And I'll probably be making another video on the ban list very soon, predictions and whatnot for that. But yeah, that's going to do it from here, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more from me in the future, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.